trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
All right, folks.
Well, I do know
And then,
St. Larry's got
yeah,
the
St.
3A.
Lawrence wins 3A, and Libertyville wins 4A. So pretty good run there, especially impressive runs there in 3A and 4A by St. Lawrence. That 4A Final Four was a killer bunch, man.
Some good players. PBR just put out their final top 25, and it actually had St. Larry's number 2 with McHenry 3, and I had to comment on it and softly protest, citing Sir Carver Cone, the number 1 ranked freshman in the state. But honestly, let's give the shout out to St. Larry's first. St. Lawrence, your 3A champs. Congrats to skipper Pete Lotus. The Vikings held off a strong Bennett Academy squad 8-5 in the final. That same Bennett squad who sent our beloved Washington Panthers home in the Elite Eight.
Who appeared in the final PB to Brian Wisher and the Panthers.
Yes, they did, and well deserved. Really strong bunch. In that 3A final, my player of the game's going to Daniel Coyle.
Oh, yeah.
Third baseman, he's ranked number 42, I think, in that 26 class. 2 RBIs, a double, 2 hits, and then he came in relief for 3 innings. Rolaids relief man, 1 earned run, 4 Ks. And on the other side, you got to give some love to Bennett's Quinn Rooney, who dropped a nice tater. And boy, it looked like we almost had a Mike Trout bringing that thing back. The right fielder had a nice climb job on there. It was almost like baseball stars where you time it perfectly and they climb the wall, but just missed it.
Nice. Is that the one you wanted me to play?
Yeah, you got video of that one?
Let's see
It's a
here.
cool video where it looks like he is going to bring it back. And that, I think the game was a 1-run game and Bennett was winning at that point when he hit that to give him a 2-run lead in the 4th. And then St. Larry storms back to take it 8-5.
Let's see. All right. Come on. So here we go. This is nice finish there by the young man. Solid follow through. And oh, man, almost got it. Yikes.
As you can see, Rooney's a big boy. He's only a sophomore.
Whoa. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, the sound was nice. Dang.
It's hard to tell, but I watched it a few times. I think he missed it by 4 or 5 feet. But boy, can you imagine if he would have brought that thing back?
Oh, that's over. Let's bring the house down.
That's ESPN. If they still cover baseball,
yeah,
they would be on it.
Definitely MLB Network for sure. But
yes,
yeah.
So congrats to St. Larry's. I got to give some congrats to McHenry, who I saw twice this year. I saw him play Batavia, and then I saw him in the Elite Eight game against South Elgin at Kane County Cougars Stadium. The freshman Carver Cone, he's ranked top 10 in the nation for freshmen. He's
Dang.
Illinois' number 1 ranked freshman. He is the real deal Holyfield. When I saw him against South Elgin, he was on base 5 times, scored 3 runs. And then you got Brandon Shannon, who just shut down who I felt was the best team, Brother Rice, in the Final Four game. Shannon's going to Louisville. He's up to 96. That guy's a killer.
Yeah. And that
took
96 was folding, by the way. It was not, I
Yes.
bumped one. It was, look, another one and another one.
we talked about him, I think, an episode or two ago,
Yeah,
breaking Bobby Miller's record for their high school's all-time wins. I think he ended up with 22 or 23 total. But in that game, Final Four against Brother Rice, who I picked to win it all, he took him 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, and 8 Ks. Um, just an impressive, performance. And then, of course, you got to mention Caden Wozniewski, who came in relief in that Elite Eight game against South Elgin because Shannon couldn't pitch. He had just pitched a few days
yeah.
prior and did a nice job. Uh, he's an all around player. He's a top five guy in his 27 class. So, some great baseball in Joliet and the surrounding areas. I think it was a great season.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to my normal community guys, Ryan Short, and all my Rhino K's guys on that squad. That was incredibly fun to watch you guys advance. Same with the Washington Panthers. I know I've been in touch with Mike McCoy, Lawrence, Carter Prina, and all those guys, and man, just so much fun. This not necessarily putting the town on their back, but really for a lot of them, it's the first time that the town has been supporting them like actively, like, hey, great game. You get more of that in a small town. It takes a little bit longer to build that in the big schools for sure.
Absolutely. And with all that, we have some sort of not breaking, but 4 hour old news. Mr. Jack Bauer, the talk of Illinois baseball, his coach was let go from Virginia, Coach Brian O'Connor. And by the way, let's talk about Mr. O'Connor. This guy is no slouch. 5-time ACC Coach of the Year. He'd been there 19 years. He's only 54 years old with a 70% win rate. He gets canned by the Cavaliers and ends up at Mississippi State. And guess where Jack Bauer just committed about 5 o'clock today? So Mr. Bauer will be headed to Starkville. Let's not forget, too, in his playing days, Coach O'Connor was in the Missouri Valley with Creighton, and he pitched on that 1991 College World Series team back when Wichita State and Creighton and Bradley, all of SIU, there were some powerhouse programs in the Missouri Valley back in the day. So
Shout out Murray State for still repping the Valley.
Murray State is alive and well.
Well, not anymore, but
Did they
you know,
lose already?
yeah, they lost. They're done.
Crap. Well,
Yeah, but good for I think um I don't think we talked about that, how far that program has come under Dan Skirka.
not enough. Either way, not
I
enough.
mean, it's kind of odd because Skirka was the recruit some of the lean times. Uh, but prior to him, so what happened was Dan was let go when I forget who the head coach was. Dan went to Walter State down in Tennessee, one of the best D1 JUCOs in the country, and was very successful there as the recruiting coordinator. Um, Murray State proceeded to go through a couple more head coaches, and they finally hired Dan back in 2017, and he has very quickly uh, made a contender for the Missouri Valley, and now obviously taking a little bit bigger. Just to sum up, prior to Skirka's arrival in 2017, uh, the Racers had only had two winning seasons, not even like you know a couple games above 500. Uh, so shout out to Dan Skirka at Murray State, my guy Steve Adkins, their pitching coach. Uh, I've known Steve since he was a ball player himself, playing for the Downers Grove Long Shots, and later at Bradley University, rooming with my guy Derek Sprout. So kudos to Steve and Dan for doing great work there and getting the Racers to a College World Series. And way to make them.
It's a
So yeah,
special thing.
yeah.
Special thing when mid majors make it because, as
Did you
for
see their welcome home from the Super?
no, I
Oh,
didn't.
thousands of people. just, I mean, packed around the arena, packed around the buses. They were signing autographs the minute they set foot out of that bus. Just so many people.
Was John Morant there?
Yeah, no, he was sending money. I I think I did hear that he sent cleats. Maybe
That's cool.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I heard that though. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure I heard Josh sent some form of baseball gear from whoever his shoe deals with.
Good for
So
him. That's one of my son's favorite players, like top 3.
yeah. Oh yeah, he's every kid's favorite player. Um, I, whatever. Still doesn't change the fact that he's a freakish athlete.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well,
Let's get into it. I know you got some topics you want to discuss. I'm waiting for
well,
the boiler to blow. Freddy Krueger's coming out, damn it.
I don't think we have a boiler to blow, but there's we're coming off the first big recruiting weekend of the summer. We had the event, the kickoff event out in Kansas City that some Illinois teams went to, and then a lot of the Illinois teams were obviously up at the Sparks Invite there in the south suburbs of Chicago, which is where you and I found ourselves this weekend.
Yep.
There's a couple of different things that we need to really start to take seriously. And one of those things is, we all get out, we all talk to each other. I've never done football or basketball recruiting events, but basketball events, you see enough film, you see all these coaches sitting together. It's very much the same in baseball, and they all talk. And so the benefit for me is that, not only am I talking with coaches, but we're getting info from what Andrew Tahako at Rice is hearing, what Brett Kelly is hearing, what Chris Razzo is hearing. And it's a pretty dire situation right now, folks. It is, we need, if this is the way that college baseball is going to continue, we need to have serious discussions about whether or not travel baseball in its current form is the best way to go forth with things. Just to give you guys some examples, I have talked to a D1 coach, a mid-major coach. They were not interested in anybody that didn't have a couple years worth of Division I at bats in the portal. So it didn't matter if you were an all-region JUCO kid. Didn't matter if you were, top 500 freshman coming out of high school. If you didn't have, 2-3 years worth of D1 at bats, this guy was not interested. And it really didn't matter what you did in those at bats. I mean, stands to reason if you've got a lot of D1 at bats, you're probably, a regular in the lineup and have decent numbers. But still, it is like the whole plan here, folks, is to get old and stay old. That is, we're seeing that more and more at all of the major sports in college, whether that's football, basketball, or baseball. Now, some of that has to do with the JUCO ruling, the Diego Pavia ruling that gave some people an extra year of eligibility. That has really messed up the rosters. But really what's driving this is portal and NIL. And, just to give you another piece nonetheless, it comes from a staff that we deal with. We're not even going out on the road this summer to watch travel games. We're going to stay here at home. We're going to focus on in-state kids, and we're going to have to babysit our guys in the various leagues they're in the Northwoods and the Coastal Plain and the Cape, wherever they go, because if you don't babysit them, then the guys all start talking about, hey, you should transfer to where I go. Hey, you should leave, Power 4 option A here and go to this Power 4 school. And so it's, I come to a point where, are we really doing right by the kids? But more importantly, are we doing right by the parents who write the checks? Because it used to be you traveled to, go get different eyes on people. The people who were within a 2-3 hour 100-mile radius of you. Chances are they probably knew who you were, knew who your team was, and were going to come see you anyway. But you were trying to get outside and let schools from other places that have brought me around on this. One, back in, I think it would have been 2018, we took a squad out to Kansas for one of those events at uh, Creekside. Reached out to a bunch of Kansas JUCOs out there, and of course, at the time, I was still in my first go round as the Illinois Central College, and I sent it to one of the JUCO coaches out there. I want to say it might have been at Hutchinson. I can't remember. I obviously didn't know any of these people. We never crossed paths because they're 6, 7, 8 hours away from us. And they just said, Coach, I appreciate you reaching out, and I have no doubt your kids are every bit as good as you say, but we're not going to recruit them because we're not going to go off just seeing them once. And that was that. And I said, well, is that it? I mean, you're talking to a fellow JUCO coach. Like, I can, by all means, give you my resume so you can, know that I'm on the level here and shooting you straight, whatever you need. And he goes, well, that's the other thing. If you're at a junior college and you're not recruiting these kids, then why would we want to recruit these kids? And I took that to heart a little bit, and I thought maybe that was the sign for me to get out. But, it's just we've really got to re-examine how we do this. Like, is this really the best thing? Now, the problem is there's going to be a lot of people out there that say yes, and a lot of those folks are going to have a monetary interest in this because this has become a very big money-making opportunity, unfortunately. And so, I just think we need to, I've got some ideas. I'm a little hesitant to give them away because I don't want somebody to beat me to the punch here, but it does need to change, folks. And I am happy to lead that movement. If anybody has any different ideas, please, by all means, let me know. Reach out, via social media. My phone number is not hard to find either, but reach out and let's start a dialogue because I think we really, really have to change. The second thing I want to talk about, and it kind of plays into the first, Saturday morning, my Rhino K's group played a pool play game at Brother Rice. Beautiful facility, by the way. Have you been there?
I have. It's outstanding.
Oh my goodness. So nice. Although oddly, there was a coyote running around the football stadium when we got there.
Down in the city now. So many.
It's crazy.
I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah.
There's also cougars, pun intended, Illinois Central College that have roamed the north side of the city of Chicago for a while. But let us not get off topic.
No.
And I don't mean like 50-year-old women going after 25-year-old guys, but go ahead.
That does also happen, though.
It does.
Did you know we used to share a hometown with one? This is it.
Yes this and is no. I'm not sure how to answer.
So again, remember the one with the story about the leadoff hitter who airport in this book. So this book was written about the same time that Bull Durham came out.
Okay.
And the Chiefs back who would pick a player or two to bed every season.
Outstanding.
In the 80s.
The plot was real.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so we set up shop. I'm not going to name the team. Very nice parents. We ended up having, I say we, me and some of the other Rhino K's parents, ended up having wonderful discussions with them. Even shared Mama Christensen. Shout out Mama Christensen for bringing donuts from one of her favorite Southside bakeries. They were delicious. I believe it was Wolf's. But anyway, it was really just a very very nice atmosphere. But one of the other team's parents said something, and this kind of plays into uh, my thinking that we have to change travel ball. Um, After we'd all kind of started chatting and gotten to know each other a little bit, the mom, one of the moms from the other team, said, "Hey, what's the deal with you guys? We've heard you're really good." And uh, Griffin Meeker, who you met on whatever that was, Thursday or Friday, started telling her about the run we had last summer where we won a pair of tournaments back to back, went on a 15. All the D1 commits we had, and Gavin Michaels and Gavin Swartz and Max Heineman and Drew Stevenson and on and on. And she said, "Yeah, that's we." She goes, "We're just not very good. Like we're just here to take our loss and go home." And you know, we're all competitive, so that was my first take. But it's not even a competition thing. It's a, oh my sweet Jesus, if you're paying money for this, and I know what this organization charges. It's not a local organization, but I know what they charge. Uh, the uh, Why would you pay that if you knew you were playing for not a good team?
Yeah.
Like I just don't understand this whole willingness to just normally we pride ourselves on our fiscal responsibility, or getting a discount or something, but man, when it comes to travel baseball, parents just it's like that. Uh, oh, what's the Simpsons? It's Futurama. It's like the meme from Futurama where he's like, "Take my money." It's insane to what these folks are paying and paying the services they pay for, because they're getting enrolled in these tournaments and whatnot. But man, if you're on the B, C, or D team, I can assure you that you are not getting the same treatment or care that the A team is getting. Secondly, I think you'll find that the reason you're playing at this level is to get exposure for colleges, and I especially on those B, C, D teams, or the gold, silver, bronze, whatever there's a bunch of different and blah blah blah. Are not gonna get the same level of recruiting attention either. Which is somebody who's spent 11 years now as a college recruiting coordinator. Uh, we don't hear from very many travel teams. It's us seeking them out. We used to approach it this way through the Central Illinois Outlaws, and now we do the same thing with Rhino K's. That we're going to reach out to the coaches. We're going to put it out there, and hey, what do you need? You need an infielder? Here's Griffin Meeker. Here's Bo Durbin, whoever. Go insert name here. And that just doesn't happen a lot. And so you're paying all this money. Um, Man, we need to get back to. I don't even know what's getting back to. It's just we've got to make a change. Long story short, so
It seems like maybe, and I'm not in this yet, except for my 9-year-old 9U travel ball. But from what you're describing and the conversations you and I have had off air, it's getting watered down where there's too many teams, too many, even good programs having 7 teams in one
oh yeah,
area, because it's maybe about the dollar more than about being competitive. And nowadays, I can tell you this from my brief experience with travel ball, every parent I've been around that has a 9-year-old kid like my son believes they all should be on a travel team. Oh, I got cut from this one. Well, I'll go over here and try out.
yep,
Oh, I found a team, but maybe your kid, and this is softball too, maybe they're either not ready for travel ball
Yeah.
maturity wise. And again, I'm changing topics a little bit because of the age, but this is my perspective. Or maybe your son or daughter isn't quite good enough for travel, at least right now. And how about realizing that instead of pulling political strings to get your son or daughter on a team because you happen to know the administration, when you're taking a spot from a kid who's good, who should have been on the team. And I've seen that at 9 years old. So that would be my gripe with the travel stuff. And, God willing, if my sons or daughter continue on the road of softball and baseball, I'll get to see things from your perspective, your vantage point when they're 16, 17. So yeah, there's lots to be corrected, no question.
Well, and to get to your one point there, maybe they're not good enough. The reason they jump like that is because they really believe that's how they're going to get recruited to play college baseball.
Right.
And they think if you don't play, that you might not. And as a result, what we've created is a self perpetuating system. We're so, you know, so scared that we're not going to be in position to be seen that we're willing to pay whatever it takes to be seen, and then we don't get seen, and nobody learns their lesson because somebody like me comes along and cleans up the mess. Um, then they're like, "Oh, and it's okay, it worked out," but it really doesn't. We just, and of course, that is the very definition of insanity. If you do the same thing over and over to expect change, examine what is best for these families, what is best for these kids, and quite frankly, we have to give them a viable alternative because until you give folks a reason to get off the merry-go-round of travel baseball, they're not going to get off the merry-go-round because it's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, I mean, hey, when you and I were young, it was American Legion,
Yep.
and that was it. It was a simpler time and a cheaper time for our parents who were paying. I don't know if it's necessarily better, but I can give an example. Jace Wilkerson, who we've talked about, Ryan Alexander's nephew,
Yep.
played Legion, and I believe he got to play at Bush Stadium or whatever the hell they call it now in St. Louis, and
That was
won
through the
like
high school.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Either way, when he was a senior, he won American Legion Player of the Year in Illinois. Now, he didn't play on the Outlaws or the Rhinos or the Sparks, but he got to go play college ball. And right now, he's looking for a home as he finishes his second year in JUCO. And, you know, there are different avenues. And like you said, everybody seems to want to be on the elite travel teams, and I get it. You know, top tier, man, that comes to mind right away.
Yeah.
At least up north of the wall here. I know down south it's a little different, but
Oh, we got top tier down here.
I knew you did. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Christ, go in the woods in the middle of Southern Illinois and find
Oh,
a
there's
team. But
top tier Rhino K, or not Rhino K's, Rhino, the Canes, I mean, you name it. They're all over the place. And that's the other thing. Become so watered down and homogenized that now, it used to be, you would see the long shots, uh long shots, top tier, Sparks, Outlaws, I'm trying to Bullets, all these it would be the same 32 teams showing up every weekend and trying to kick the crap out of each other. Uh, the best of the best. And now, if you were to try to recreate that today, you'd have, hey, there's 36 Canes teams in this, tournament and 42 top tier, all this stuff. And it's just like, how does that benefit anybody other than the name on the jersey that, doesn't really mean anything? Like I can remember one of our first probably would have been 20. Well, I can tell you when it was because it was class of 2018. It was Lavender and Vinny Massalia and those guys. So this would have been 2016, I think. Yeah, because Werner was with me. Um, and we met a kid. There used to be an outfit called Chain Baseball. For a hot minute, they were like one of the uh, big teams, especially in the Southeast. But they were bringing in kids from like Detroit to play on their fifth team. Like, what are we doing? And that kid, by the way, the kid from Detroit, as we're walking out of the stadium at Mount Juliet High School in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, says, "I think I'd like to come play for you guys next year." It's just like, dude, what have you done all around you, to piss off every travel program in Michigan or whatever? Like why do
Yeah.
you keep looking to go so far to play? And it's just it there's a lot of stuff that boggles my mind. And don't get me wrong, I don't think this is intentional. I don't think there's anything malicious behind it. I just think, parents just want their kids to have the best life or better than they had it. That's always been a thing. And I think we're going about it wrong.
I
I
think
just,
100% agree with you. I think that is number one or 1A of the reasons why it's become watered down. Um, you know, some of the people that know me are gonna maybe be mad, but I'm gonna cite another thing where here in my hometown, well, my new hometown, they kept 3 8-year-old travel basketball teams in our small local town of less than 20,000 people. 3 teams. And the third team never won a game. And it just, again, as a parent, I want the same thing for my kids. Whether they're whether my boys and girl are not quite as good as Joey next door, we have this mentality now that, well, I don't care, I'll just find another team to play on.
yeah,
And perhaps we should just sit back and calm down a little bit and say, maybe we let our kids find their own way a little bit. And if they want to work hard and get better and make that top team, let them do it and help them get
yeah.
there with lessons with people like Josh Cowton and our buddy Trey, the hitting guru out
Quad
of I
Cities,
forget Quad Cities. Thank
Milan,
you.
beautiful
Yes.
Milan, Illinois.
Yes. I mean, there are ways to get better without dropping your 3 grand when your kid's 8 years old, um,
100%.
just because you want to go to the restaurant in town and be proud that your kid's on that team. Because honestly, what else reason is there
Yeah,
except for a parental bragging rights? So you can put pictures on Facebook with your kid in his uniform and say, my kid made this team. That's great, but reality's going to hit at some point, whether
yeah.
they're 13, 15, or 20. When they're over their head, it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. And
And,
maybe
and
maybe we're go ahead.
I would love to talk to the third. Was this fun? Like, did you honestly enjoy this every time out, losing what they played 20, 25 games? Like, mom and dad, did you enjoy that? Like, did you like that? To me, that's like buying a car that it looks shiny. Somebody's taken Edsel engine in it with Studebaker brake pads or some shit. And, you
Callahan
know,
brake pads.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, get a good look at a T-bone. Um,
It wasn't going to be long before we reverted back.
yeah, absolutely.
No,
Um,
I think this topic can sort of be encapsulated by a interview I heard by a football coach. It was a mid-major guy, and I can't think of who it was, but he said, parents, coaches, stop stealing the struggle from your kids. It's what develops character, turns them into tough men and women who can handle the reality of life, which is way more failures than wins. And if we're stealing the struggle of getting cut, from a team when they're 8 and 9. They won't be able to handle it when they're 15. They will have a fucking meltdown. And wouldn't you rather them cry on the car ride home when they're 8 when they didn't make the team and then they work hard and maybe the 9-year-old team they make it and they learn, wow, sometimes life doesn't give me everything I want. I have to work hard for it. And even then sometimes I still don't get it, but I can keep working hard with the hope of getting it. Michael Jordan was cut from his freshman basketball team. He did
Dude,
not
Nolan
quit.
Farner.
Nolan Farner. I mean, so many people. And
Just to give everybody, I don't know if we've talked about Nolan a lot on here. I can't remember, but Nolan Farner, his father, podcast before, but Nolan goes from being cut from the Walton High School baseball team as a sophomore to being the closer for the number 14 ranked team in the country at Walton. Like, put the work in, learned his dad's curveball, and all of a sudden is just putting dudes in the book for one of the best teams in the country. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be.
yes, it's perfect. Michael Jordan, Nolan Farner, they didn't leave their travel teams that cut them or high school teams that cut them and transfer to different schools where they could play. They stayed. And I don't want to make this about LeBron, but I'm sorry, it's a great example. LeBron jumps ship to Miami, where he can easily win with Dwayne Wade and Bosh. It's a little bit the generation, but those of us who are parents, who are lucky enough to be parents, teach your kids that failure's okay and pick yourself up off the mat. Do not steal their struggle through life because you don't want to see them skin their knee and cry. That's part of growing up.
Yep. 100%, 110%. So, well, that's all I've got, sir. I feel like I've said my piece. I will now step down from the soapbox and
I loved
uh,
it. I think it's very educational. And a lot of the dads and moms that I talk to at the dozens of games I've been to this year, whether it's high school or at my own kids' 9U or even at my 7-year-old's softball games, that, these topics interest them. So I think that this will be an episode that a lot of parents will really appreciate. Um, we talked at the beginning of the podcast, we gave a lot of love out to the state finals, and I completely forgot to mention the first ever state title for Libertyville Wildcats 4A. You got to give the love. They had 5 dudes in that lineup that had 3 or more homers. Their 2 best pitchers, Chase Lockwood and Josh Holst. Holst is going to Air Force. I think Lockwood's uncommitted. They were both outstanding 2 ways. Holst, again, 13-0 with 118 Ks, but he hit 360 with 5 bombs and over 40 RBIs. Lockwood had 3 homers, 2 triples, hit 421. And then their backstop, Quinn Shambeau, I can't forget him, the Oklahoma State recruit, hit 450 with 18 doubles, almost 50 ribeyes. Congrats to Libertyville, your first ever state title.
very, very nice. Well, Mr. Bentley, I think that does it.
Signing
So,
off.
indeed,
Strong episode.
always.
Lots to think about.
Indeed. So we will be keeping these up through the summer, probably through the fall, I would imagine. I don't know if we'll take a break for the winter or not. We'll find out. But we'll keep these coming, and hopefully, don't hesitate to comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on the YouTube, and we'll go from there.
All right. See you next time. Episode 24 in the books. Ken Griffey
In,
Jr.
Indeed.
So are you going to